and the chairperson of the Committee on Culture, Senate President Pro Tempore, Senator Lauren Legarda. Good morning, ma'am. And also with us is our chair of the Senate Committee on National Defense. Baka nakikita, napapanood nyo sa TV lagi, ang ating popular Senator Bato, Ronald Bato de la Rosa. Morning, sir. Of course, we'd like to acknowledge our distinguished guests this morning from both the provincial and local governments, as well as from various government agencies. We have with us Baguio City Mayor and Chairman of the Metropolitan Baguio City La Trinidad Itogon, Sablan, Tuba, and Tublay Development Authority, Mayor Benjamin Magalong. Morning, sir. Thank you for joining us. Itogon Benguet Mayor Bernard Waclin. Morning, sir. Tuba Benguet Mayor Clarita Salongan. Morning po. Sablan Benguet Mayor Alfredo Dacumos Jr. Ilocos Sur Board Member and former Mayor of Candon, Erickson Singson. Sir. NEDA CAR Regional Director Susan Sumbeling. DepEd CAR Regional Director Estela Carino. TESDA Benguet Acting Provincial Director Arlene Cadalig. Bases Conversion and Development Authority BCDA OIC Corporate Planning Department Crineza Vel Mendoza. From industry, we have Benguet Electric Cooperative or Beneco Chairperson Steve Kating. Morning po. Baguio Water District Chairman and University of Cordilleras College of Law Dean Attorney Renato Rondez. Morning, Dean. Yeah. Also from the education sector, from Cordillera State Institute of Technical Education, Interim Executive Director Daisy Bugalion. Pangasinan State University Binmalay, Campus Executive Director Dr. Marie Claire Briones. Along with Pangasinan State University Bayambang Campus Director Gudelia Samson. And St. Louis University Office for Legal Affairs Director Attorney Johan Macob. University of Northern Philippines Director Carlo Ventura. Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University La Union Legal Officer Attorney Alan Pahimola. Bangi Institute of Technology Administrator Carlos Carizal. TESDA Regional Training Center La Union Chief Specialist Artemio Pulido. And I'm also informed that we have with us John Hay Management Corporation President and CEO Alan Garcia. Yeah. Did I fail to acknowledge anybody present at the table today? Yes. Mr. Emerito Narag, OIC Assistant Director for Dole CAR. Anybody else? Yeah, thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. And again, also thank you to my colleagues. Maybe perhaps before we get the ball rolling, we would like to ask our colleagues if they have any preliminary statements. Senators Legarda and De La Rosa. Senator Lauren.
Naimbag na bigat, good morning to all of you. Happy to be here in the North. And we're here to listen to your views, those who are elected in local governments, those representing the private sector, those representing the agencies of government in the region. We'd like to hear from you on the resolution of both houses number 6. We are certain that by now you've probably read it and you would have your ideas on the advertising, education, and public services sectors that will be affected. That is a subject of our consultation today. This is the first of a series of out-of-town hearings, aside from the hearings conducted by the chair, attended by all of us in the Senate. So we are happy to be back in the summer capital of the Philippines. We would like to know whether the proposed measure will actually alleviate the condition in our country. How will it affect livelihood and local economy in the Cordillera region, and in Region 1 as well? We'd like to hear from you. Thank you very much and good morning.
And thank you very much, Senator Legarda. Now we ask Senator Bato if he wishes to make a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Naimbag ng adlaw. Mr. Chair, colleagues present and our resource persons for today's hearing. Foremost, I would like to thank our subcommittee chairperson, Senator Sani Angara, for conducting this sixth public hearing in Baguio City. This is where I started my journey as a public servant when I entered the Philippine Military Academy. This city and its people will always have a special place in my heart, just like the good mayor of Baguio City, Mayor Benji Magalong. There is an age-old saying: the only constant thing in life is change, and there is no denying the truth of this saying. Ilang beses na siguro nating napatunayan na madalas ang mga napag-iiwanan sa buhay ay iyong mga kumakapit sa nakaraan, sa nakasanayan. When the moment calls for us to decide, we must decide. And we can only pray that the decisions we make today are not the ones we regret in the future. Perhaps the good thing is that we are given the opportunity to choose our fate. In the context of this hearing, I say that coming together and deciding as a nation is in itself already a victory. Noon pa man po ay hindi ko isinara ang aking isip sa pagbabago, lalo na po kung ito ay nakabubuti sa ating bayan. Today, we as a people are standing in front of a crossroad. Are we for the charter change or not? And if we are, what provisions do we intend to amend? But most importantly, will it improve the lives of every Filipino? We want to know from the residents of Baguio City and nearby provinces present today the possible effects of the proposed amendments to the Constitution. Will these amendments create opportunities and improve the local economy? In the midst of all the controversies brought about by the manner as to how the Constitution is to be amended, we have somehow found a silver lining. Every elected official behind and against charter change claimed that their motivation is to uplift the lives of Filipinos. As to each one's declared intention, it is nothing short of noble. As to authenticity, that is something for our people to discern and decide. I began by telling you that I hold this place very close to my heart. And I wish to end with an assurance that also comes from my heart, mula sa puso ni Bato, na hindi kailanman naging pusong bato. I assure you, whatever change we may all decide on, we will make sure that it is the people who will benefit the most. To the people of Baguio and the Cordilleras, whatever the outcome of this political exercise may be, I will see to it that the environment and the cultural identity of everyone is protected and at all times respected. Maraming salamat. Agyam Manak, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Bato. Tamang-tama nga, it's the PMA graduation and the President is darating po si Presidente bukas. So congratulations to the PMA graduates. Life-changing yan for these cadets, just like General. They can also be a General Bato, Senator Ping Lacson, Mayor Magalong. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of one of our colleagues and also the chairperson, one of the co-chairpersons of EDCOM. Magkasama po kami doon. Congressman Mark Go. Good morning, sir. Morning po. So, yeah, this is our sixth public hearing, but the first out of town. And it's a focused discussion on three areas. Yung public services, although dito sa public services, wala kaming dinadagdag. Gusto lang namin na ma-institutionalize yung nailagay dun sa Public Service Act amendments na pinasa namin nung nakarang administrasyon. Kung saan binuksan natin yung mga telcos at ibang negosyo sa mga dayuhang magnenegosyo para to encourage competition in certain public utilities and also to encourage better services to our countrymen. Pero at the present, that is naka-TRO yun sa Supreme Court. So one way of breaking that impasse is to is to pass this that certain provision where kasi nga ang argument doon kaya na TRO is because it is against the Constitution. But if we place it in the Constitution na ito yung patakaran and ito yung pwedeng pumasok ang ating mga dayuhang negosyo, dun wala na pong usapang sa Supreme Court. That will be settled. At pangalawa yung higher education institutions at pangatlo yung advertising. So we're here to hear you. So without further ado, we'll turn it over to you. First, we'll go with Mayor Benji, then Kong Mark, and then the other mayors here in Benguet. So Mayor Benji, please, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Mr. Chair. Timbang Sapa, kadatayo amin na po. On behalf of the City of Baguio and the Metro Police Development Authority, our warm welcome to Senator Sonny Angara, to Senator Loren Legarda, to Senator Bato de la Rosa, and hopefully we'll be joined by Senator no less than by the Senate President, Senator Juan Miguel Zumiri, and Senator Christopher Bongo. It is our honor that the Senate Committee has come to Baguio to hold this public hearing attended by resource persons today. It need not to be stressed that this hearing is vital for the actions of our legislators in the coming times, because this opens the discussion of amending portions of the Philippine Constitution, the supreme law of the land, particularly those provisions which serve as the fundamental policy in the regulation of our economic activities. During my travels abroad, I had the opportunity to observe how other countries, especially progressive countries, have used special laws, economic laws and policies, and technological advancement, enhancing efficiency and productivity of industries. I always leave these trips with this thought that these practices can be implemented in the Philippines. I do not doubt that our local talents are capable of putting Philippine industries at par with peers in the global stage. But the potential is fully realized with increased capital investment, comprehensive collaborations, trainings for innovative or new methods, and of course, the strong support of the government and the appropriate laws for that matter. This is why I support legislation that advances economic opportunities for the Filipino. And with the current landscape, our industries would be able to support an economic track that is globally competitive, dynamic, and adaptive to economic trends. I would like also to decry some efforts of some legislators to pursue the people's initiative. I believe it is purely unethical. With that support, however, I also firmly believe that the process for moving these kinds of legislations forward should be aligned with what is provided in our Constitution, and that the core foundations of nationalism and national interest are still primarily protected, and if not strengthened. I have taken note that the Honorable Senate President has already categorically stated before the Senate will not succumb to the pressure of a deadline, and I completely agree with that principle. An amendment to the Constitution demands careful and an in-depth study, analysis of risk, and this public hearing establishes our legislators' earnest steps in that direction, because it is our hope in the Metro Police Development Authority that whatever result is had from these public hearings, it is always in pursuit of the best interests of our country and its people. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Mayor Magalong. Tama po yan. We're really trying to go in depth sa studies po namin. Congressman Mark, sir, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Senator Sani. To our honorable senators, Senator Loren, Senator Sani, and Senator Bato, esteemed resource persons present this morning, our honored guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, isa pong mapagpalayang umaga sa ating lahat. I stand before you today humbled by the opportunity to address this crucial issue at the intersection of economic policy and national development. As a legislator, I am deeply invested in the future prosperity of our beloved nation. And I believe that these proposed amendments to the Philippine Constitution warrant careful consideration and thoughtful deliberation. Before I proceed further, I want to express my gratitude for the invitation to participate in this hearing and assure you of my commitment to contributing meaningfully in our discussions today. In addition to my remarks today, I will be submitting a comprehensive position paper outlining my perspectives on Senate Resolution of both Houses number 6. This document will provide detailed analysis, evidence-based arguments in support of the proposed amendments, drawing upon insights gleaned from consultations with stakeholders and experts in the field. Now let me turn our attention to the substance of the matter at hand. In a rapidly evolving global landscape, the Philippines finds itself at a pivotal crossroads, faced with the imperative to adapt and innovate to thrive in this 21st century. The proposed amendments to certain economic provisions of our Constitution, particularly on Articles 12, 14, and 16, represent a bold step toward unlocking the full economic potential of our nation. Let us first consider the issue of foreign ownership in public utilities. The proposed amendments to Section 11, Article 12, which seek to grant Congress the authority to permit foreign companies 100% ownership in public utilities, hold immense promise for fostering economic growth, enhancing infrastructure development, and promoting healthy competition in our country. While concerns have been raised regarding the potential impact on local businesses and employment opportunities, it is crucial to recognize the significant socioeconomic benefits associated with attracting foreign investment in public utilities. Data presented by government officials, including Undersecretary Sharon Garin of the Department of Energy, underscores the substantial capital inflows, job creation, and environmental benefits that foreign investments in renewable energy projects can bring by welcoming foreign investments while implementing appropriate safeguards. We have the opportunity to stimulate economic growth and create employment opportunities and contribute to sustainable development. Moving on to the issue of foreign ownership in education, it is evident that the landscape of global education is evolving rapidly, and our Constitution must adapt to accommodate these changes. The proposed amendments to Paragraph 2, Section 4 of Article 14 offer the potential to enhance educational quality, address accessibility gaps, and foster economic growth as well as innovation. By allowing foreign investment in education, we can pave the way for the establishment of world-class educational institutions within our country, enriching the educational experience for students and enhancing the global competitiveness. While concerns have been raised regarding the potential dilution of Filipino identity and values, it is essential to recognize that international collaborations can enrich rather than erode cultural diversity. By implementing robust regulatory frameworks and promoting cultural exchanges, we can ensure that foreign-based or foreign-owned institutions uphold Filipino values while embracing global perspectives. Finally, let us consider the issue of foreign ownership in the advertising industry. The proposed liberalization of ownership restrictions in this sector holds the promise of stimulating economic growth, fostering innovation, and positioning the Philippines as a hub of dynamic communication and commerce on the global stage. While concerns have been raised regarding potential job displacement and unfair competition, it is imperative to implement proper regulatory frameworks to ensure a level playing field and prevent anti-competitive behavior. In conclusion, Mr. Chair, I urge this esteemed subcommittee to carefully consider the implications of the proposed amendments to our Constitution by embracing foreign investment in key sectors while ensuring adequate safeguards and regulatory force oversight. we have the opportunity to unlock the full potential, particularly economic potential of our nation, and chart a course toward prosperity and progress for generations to come. Again, Mr. Chair and members of this committee, maraming salamat po at naway maging makabuluhan ang ating talakayan ngayong umaga.
Thank you very much, Congressman Mark. We'll value your input, especially with higher education being the chairperson of the House Committee on Higher and Technical Education. We'd like to acknowledge Mayor Romeo Salda of La Trinidad Benguet. Good morning po, sir. We'll call on you in a while. We'll go first to the mayors here. Mayor Bernard Waclin from Itogon. Sir, you have the floor.
Hello. To our beloved Senator, Senator Loren Legarda, Senator Sani Angara, Senator Batu, and to all are here, a pleasant morning to one and all. This is my first time to attend a public hearing with the amendment of the Constitution, so I cannot say anything, just to wait for the presentation and learn how this Constitution be amended. That's all, and thank you.
Salamat po, Mayor. Now from Tuba, Mayor Clarita Salongan. Ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Of course, our beloved senators, headed by Senator Angara and Senator Loren Legarda, Senator Batu, who are with us today. This is also my first time to have this public hearing, to attend this public hearing, and whatever will be the common goals of the Filipinos, majority, we will be voting for that, sir. So as of now, as Mayor Maclean have mentioned, maybe we want to listen to the presentation before we will have the action also, as the officials or the Cordillerans. We are also we agree on the amendments, but as to the presentation, we would like to first hear the presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now we go to Sablan, Mayor Alfredo Dacubos, sir.
Good morning and a blessed day to each and everyone. With regards to our resolution proposing for amendments, well, it's a high time to hear for changes. However, as of this time, we are also preparing for some of this amendment, and we will be sending some notes if ever the presentation will be done. So good morning to all, and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for the information of the body, there's no presentation because the bill is very simple. It opens up, yung sa public services, there's three areas, three focused provisions here. Or there's a focus on three provisions of the Constitution. As I said earlier, yung public services, although we're not adding or subtracting from what we did, what Congress did, both the House and the Senate, when we passed the amendments to the 1930s public service law. Yun, we just added, we specified there that certain industries can be open to foreigners, among them telecommunications and certain utilities. And the idea there is to have enhanced competition, given the state of our utilities, and hopefully to lower prices and provide better services to our countrymen. And pangalawa ho, yung higher education. We believe that in this day and age, with the free flow of information, and you look at Singapore, where there are joint degrees offered between National University of Singapore, Yale University, Harvard University, Northwestern University. So, kumbaga, ideas are global nowadays. So yun ang dinidiin po namin dito na siguro dapat makisabay din tayo because our citizens also may be clamoring for a very different type of education and new ideas, new partnerships. Even if we open it up, there are also laws which we can pass, meaning we can only allow certain people of certain training to teach in our higher education institutions. Kumbaga, this is not the only layer of regulation that the state or the government can have. Sabi nga nila, these types of regulations on economic policy should not be, hindi dapat nasa saligang batas yan. At sabi nung aming magagaling na abogado or resource persons, meron kami mga retired Supreme Court justices, retired professors of constitutional law. Ang sabi nila, yung Pilipinas lang ang merong economic policy regulations in its constitution. No one else in the world. Constitutions are meant to be very general documents which survive centuries and are organic and must evolve. Yung US Constitution is over 200 years old and it's been amended, I think, 26 or 27 times. So, I know some of us want to amend the whole Constitution, pero we already had a Constitution in 1935, in 1973, in 1987. Kung baguhin natin, magkakaroon tayo ng 2024 Constitution, parang there is no opportunity for the Constitution to settle and take root. And that is part of our nation-building exercise, Your Honors. So sa akin, mas maganda itong ginagawa ng Senado at Kamara na we are hearing particular. And there, of course, the people will have the last say kasi may plebiscito po ito. So yung higher education. At yung pangatlo, yung advertising, which is not as a big a deal as, I suppose, as education because it's already open 70% to foreigners. So we're just opening up the remaining 30%. And during our hearing last week, parang the resource persons were okay with it. Parang wala masyadong opposition dun sa advertising industry. Kasi sabi nila, a lot of local advertising agencies have foreign partners anyway. And it's there are already arrangements or contracts wherein foreign advertising companies employ Filipinos. There are also Filipino advertising agencies which employ talent abroad also. So the cross-border usage of talent and nationalities is not really a controversial subject when it comes to advertising. So sorry that we don't have a presentation, but because the provisions are very simple and the ideas are very simple really. It's just really to open up these three areas. Kasi in the past, yung mga diskusyon, kalat-kalat ho eh. Merong parliamentary, merong amending the terms of office, merong... So we decided the most urgent problems of Filipinos pertain to yung economics situation nila eh. Yung trabaho, yung presyo. So part of the high cost of living is, of course, paying for the daily necessities. And factoring into that is utilities, food, and other things. I think these are the urgent problems of Filipinos, and they have been for the last decades, and it hasn't changed, Your Honor. So, yun lang po. That's the idea here, and we're looking forward to hearing more from you. We now have with us, we'd like to acknowledge the Governor of Benguet Province, Governor Melchor Diclas, doctor, medical doctor, MD. Would you like to comment, Governor? Are you ready to give a position on the dun sa binanggit po nating proposed amendments to the Constitution?
Thank you, Senator. To every senators who are present and my co-deliverance, good morning to each and everyone. For me, we've been reading the economic provisions and we don't have any objections, so we approve with the economic provisions. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for coming. And now we'll hear from our friend from La Trinidad, Benguet Mayor Romeo Salda.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee and each and everyone. I am representing the mayor. I am Attorney Victor Singa, the Municipal Legal Officer. We have submitted our humble position to the Secretariat, and we do not oppose to the proposed amendments. Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Salamat ho. Can we now hear from Board Member Erickson Singson from Ilocos Sur? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Senator Angara, Senator Loren, Senator Bato, to our host city mayor, Mayor Magalong, to other mayors po, to our dear governors who are with us, and to the invited attendees, good morning po sa ating lahat. I've been sent by Governor Jerry Singson to represent him. We have also submitted our position paper, and we also are not. We are also in favor of the proposed amendments in our for the for the amendments. And just to add up, in our province, we have not that problems yet with foreign investors. There are some who are coming over with their proposals, but still no actual investment has been done. But we are, and for these, they were dealing with tourism, but although for the amendment regarding public utilities, education, and advertisement, we are not opposing the proposed amendments. Thank you, Mr. Senator, Mr. Chair, and to everyone.
Salamat, Board Member Singson, and our thanks also to Governor Singson.
Thank you.
Yes, we'd like to mention that the Senate President has also told us that he will be attending the hearing, and we are here under his authority and also under the authority of our committee chairperson, Senator Robin Hood Padilla. Yeah. So we'll now hear from NEDACAR Regional Director Susan Sumbeling. Ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang umaga po, Senator Loren Legarda, Senator Angara, Senator De La Rosa, and to the mayors of the Development Authority, MPs, the governors, and to my colleagues. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving us this opportunity, but may I please read to you the position of NEDA as submitted to the committees, both houses. So the NEDA supports the intention to amend the economic provisions of the 1987 Philippine Constitution to enable the country to adapt the current and future socio-economic conditions. This support is driven by a collective desire for economic and social transformation that will accelerate the uplifting of the lives of the Filipinos. Amending the country's constitution is expected to result in positive gains and provide the Philippines with additional tools for a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient economy in the form of increased foreign direct investment, globally competitive and efficient public utilities, higher education institutions, and of course, advertising firms, and greater number of high-quality employment. The proposed amendments will also allow flexibility in the Constitution to respond to different political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental shocks accordingly and in timely manner. Let me share to you that the NEDA estimates that lifting the foreign equity restrictions on public utilities, advertising, and education could be on average one increase in the real gross domestic product or the GDP by around 40 billion to 80 billion pesos, or an additional of 0.2 to 0.4 percentage points to the real GDP growth. Pangalawa po, generate additional employment of about 40,000 to 130,000 annually. These estimates do not yet factor in the gains in total factor productivity arising from more R&D collaboration, technology, and innovation resulting from the entry of reputable global enterprises, particularly in education and advertising. So we also submitted the details of this to both houses po, Your Honors. Thank you so much, and magandang umaga po again.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate the detailed projections. Next, we'll hear from Regional Director Estela Carino from the DepEd. Yes, Director. Thank you.
Good morning to our honorable Senator Loren, Senator Sani, and Senator Bato. I actually sent this position paper to our USEC, but we do not have the official one. If allowed, I'd just like to read the position paper we submitted as Cordillera Administrative Region. Okay. So we have here the recommendations and position. The insertion of the qualifier basic in the amendment is accepted considering that it is the status quo and will not affect the present condition and policies of the Department of Education on the matter. Second, the insertion of the phrase "unless otherwise provided by law" is conditionally accepted so that foreign participation in the control and administration of educational institutions, including the basic education, is encouraged, but not full control and administration, because it can also improve cultural diversity and partnership on or linkages in knowledge exchange, expertise, and human resources. So the third, the omission or removal of the statement "no educational institution shall be established exclusively for aliens and no group of aliens shall comprise more than 1/3 of the enrollment in any school." The provision of this subsection shall not apply to schools established for foreign diplomatic personnel and their dependents, and unless otherwise provided by law for other foreign temporary residents, is conditionally accepted to apply only to private educational institutions so that it may foster a diverse learning experience among Filipino learners with foreign learners. The public schools will remain to serve the Filipino learners. On behalf of the Department of Education, Cordillera Administrative Region, we congratulate the work of our honorable members of the Congress for this long-awaited constitutional amendment, and we also thank you for this opportunity to contribute to the fulfillment of ensuring that our Filipino learners will have access to the best educational institutions and to ensure that they receive the best training to become globally competitive citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. Now we hear from Regional Director Attorney Balmirson Valdez from TESDACAR.
Thank you, sir.
Morning po.
To all our dear senators and fellow resource persons here, guests, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. We believe that a constitution should be dynamic, flexible, and should adapt to the changing times. And so, for TESDACAR, we have submitted our position paper, and in sum, I want to read our conclusion on this, which is a manifestation of our support to the recommended amendments. Resolution of both houses number 6 provides a tremendous opportunity to modernize and align the Philippine economy with global norms. While the resolution offers substantial economic advantages, it is critical to balance these gains with safeguards to preserve national interests and guarantee that the benefits of increasing foreign investment are properly distributed among Filipinos. Balancing various concerns with the proposed benefits is crucial to ensure that any constitutional amendments lead to a sustainable and inclusive development for the Philippines. Therefore, by taking a cautious yet forward-thinking stance, the Philippines can successfully handle the intricacies of globalization while promoting sustainable economic progress. Comprehensive stakeholder discussions and strong regulatory frameworks will be required to achieve this balance. Thank you at magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Yes, that's a very good point regarding the regulatory framework, and that's why I said earlier na this is not the only layer of regulation. Thank you for that, for pointing that out, sir. Can we also hear from Benguet Acting Provincial Director for TESDA, Arlene Cadalig? Morning po. Please use the mic, ma'am. Hold on. We will try to turn on the mic, ma'am. Yeah.
For our position paper, we already have the summary of our position paper, which is already mentioned by our regional director, Attorney Balmerson Valdez. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we hear from Regional Director for CAR of the PRC, Juanita Domogen? Yeah. But before that, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of no less than our Senate President, Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri. We'll just suspend the hearing for a minute to allow Senate President Zubiri to greet the local officials. To give his remarks on the hearing. He's also an author of the resolution alongside Senator Legarda and myself.
Thank you very much, our dear chairman of the subcommittee, Senator Angara. Of course, to my dear colleagues, we have Senator Lauren Legarda, our Senate President pro tempore, Senator Bato de la Rosa. Darating ba si Bongo? Mamaya. Together, of course, with Congressman Mark Go, together with our mayor, Mayor Magalong, all the mayors of the different municipalities and cities of the Cordilleras and, of course, Luzon, Northern Luzon, and all the officials. Magandang Ilocos Sur nga, nandito nga. Kababayan ng asawa ko yun. Yung lola niya, taga, no, the town of the father, who was mayor of Governor Sison. No, I forget. I'm having a... Kulang ako sa tulog kasi galing po kami ng Pag-asa Island kahapon. And, you know, it's a very long flight and napakainit pala doon. And of course, napakainit din ng pagtanggap ng China sa amin, nakapaligid lahat. Pero hindi po kami natakot at kaya nandito po kami ngayon because we're talking about the Constitution. The Constitution is the Bible of any nation. It's the Bible of the Philippines. And the Constitution, on the first articles, are always talking about sovereignty, the sovereignty of our nation. It's the heart and soul of the nation. And so yesterday we were reminded that sometimes our sovereignty is not under attack, but of course faces a lot of challenges. And that's why we are here today to support the committee because we want to improve on the laws, the rules, regulations, the heart and soul of our nation. And I know that many countries have already in the past, or even now in the present, amended their constitution to improve the needs of their people. Kaya nandito po kami. Hello, Madam Lauren. Ito si Madam Lauren Legarda, lover of Cordilleras, and one of our champions for culture and arts. And that's why we're here today to listen to all sides, how we can improve the Constitution. And it is our commitment to the people when we took our oath as senators and congressmen and public servants to improve the lives of our kababayans. So I'm here to listen, Your Honor. Senator Angara, we thank you for this. Sa susunod na linggo, pupunta po kami ng Cebu at Cagayan de Oro. So meron tayong Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. At ang pinili talaga po namin ay Baguio. Para naman, kasi minsan sinasabi nila, bakit sa Senado lang po yung hearing? Sabi ko, dali natin po sa Northern Luzon para malapit po sa inyong lahat. So once again, maraming salamat at mabuhay po ang ating bansa. Maraming salamat, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you very much, very well said, Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri. And again, let me repeat, it was Senate President Zubiri whose idea was to take the hearings out of Manila because like him, he's not from Manila, and many of us are not from Manila. So we'd like to hear the voices of our kababayans outside. Next week we'll be in the Visayas and Mindanao, the home region of Senate President Zubiri and Senator Bato de la Rosa. So we'd like to acknowledge also the presence of Kalinga Governor James Eduba. Good morning, Governor. Thank you for joining us po. Yes.
Naalala ko na, Narbacan. Yung lola ng asawa ko taga Narbacan. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Awain ako.
The ginkgo biloba is working. We'd like to hear from Regional Director of PRC, Juanita Dumogen, and then after that we'll go to Kalinga Governor James Eduba, who just arrived. We'll ask him to give his feedback also. Yes, Director Dumogen, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Senator Sani Angara. And of course, good morning to everyone. Good morning, Senator Loren. Good morning, Senator Migs and Senator Bato. And the other dignitaries who are here with us today, my fellow public servants and as well as private sectors. We have already forwarded our position paper, the same position paper submitted by our central office on this matter, which I believe it was discussed in the previous Senate hearings in the Metro Manila. But I would like to highlight this portion of the position paper. Indeed, the concept of internationalization and the opening up of the local sectors to foreign participation has to be placed side by side with the concept of nationalism and that of promoting the preferential use of Philippine labor, resources, and industries. It is a matter of balancing these two interests that would be crucial at this juncture. At any rate, the PRC understands that despite the move to ease the foreign participation limitations in education under the Constitution, the Congress, nevertheless, will retain the power to prescribe by law the equity and control requirements. This appears in the long run to be more practical as lawmakers will be afforded the opportunity to assess the prevailing conditions from time to time as basis to review and adjust the equity and control requirements whenever it deems appropriate and needed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director. Also a good point. Again, as other resource persons, and as I said earlier, this is not the only layer of regulation. As you point out, we can also use labor laws to regulate the entry of, in fact, our labor code has specific provisions on the entry of foreign labor. And it must only be when there is no qualified Filipino who can perform that duty. And recently, the Senate and the House also passed the Tatak Pinoy Bill, which I had the honor of sponsoring, which gives preference to Filipino industries. So, baka matakot kasi yung mga kababayan natin na binubuksan natin yung ekonomiya. It does not mean that this is not, na hindi natin poprotekta o tutulungan ang ating mga negosyong Pilipino. By all means, we want to build up our industries also dahil doon magkakaroon ng trabaho para sa ating mga kababayan. Thank you, Director. Maybe Governor Eduba, we can ask you to share with us your thoughts on the proposed resolution, sir.
Right. Thank you, Senator. Of course, good morning. Of course, I know the Mayor has welcomed you already, including the Governor of Benguet and our Congressman, but still, welcome to the Cordillera. Senator Legarda, Senator Migs, and Senator Bato. I know you're all friends of the Cordillera. That's why you came here and you identified the Cordillera as one of the place that you will consult. I am late. I just came from a meeting for the RDC. There are three items that is being discussed here for the economic and the advertisement and then the education. For the economic portion, it has long been our claim, especially here in the Cordillera. One example is the mining industries here in the Cordillera or other resource, the exploration of resources here in the Cordillera. One thing that has been that has not been observed or not considered is that, like for example, the payment of taxes in business sa Cordillera, babayaran kung dito yung mina, doon naman sa offices binabayaran yung taxes namin na kung minsan hindi kami nakikinabang na dito naman iniistorbo yung bundok namin, dito yung kinukuha yung resources. Those are just the examples na kailangan siguro talaga mabago yung economic, yung ekonomiya para ito pag participate yung may participation itong mga foreign industries dito para mapalaki yung mga resources na pwede ma-invest dito, but please consider also yung mga kung saan nanggagaling yung resources. Like for example here in our Cordillera nga. It's not just mining even in the other resources dito sa energy, sa dam, sa water, itong sa ano. It has always been, kami yung watershed dito sa Cordillera pero di kami nakikinabang sa mga dapat kami dapat makinabang na tiga Cordillera. And those are just the example na kung bakit kailangan na it is high time na kailangan may mabago. One other thing here is yung namin itong, and let me take this point and let me take this portion. Itong Cordillera Autonomy na namin na we've been look for ito clamor na namin hanggang ngayon wala pa rin. So this is all the high time siguro na i-consider ito pag napunta na sa economic na sector, ito may consider naman itong clamor namin dito sa Cordillera. Para doon sa education, please doon sa dito binabantayan yung morals natin dito. So siguro for the education sector, I would rather say na let it remain dito sa Pilipino. Kasi dito natin nabubuo kung ano yung mga moral standard natin mga Pilipino. So I think it should remain to us na dapat hindi nagalawin yan. And for the other sector, this can be considered also because at least dito we can let other foreign na participate para matulungan tayo, especially in investment wherein it really matters to us. Especially doon sa mga grassroots na wala talang capability. Just like dito sa mga LGUs na talagang walang capability. And I think this should be heard. Kailangan pakinggan na dapat more participation pa itong mga nasa bundok. Yun lang muna. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing, Governor James Eduba from Kalinga. Next, can we hear from John Hay Management Corporation President and CEO Alan Garcia?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Senator Bato, Senator Legarda, and our Senate President. JHMC is situated inside the economic zone, Mr. Chairman, but it is my personal belief that these amendments should be explained or elucidated properly to our countrymen, because we might be creating an impression that we will be giving utmost priority po sa mga foreign investors, and they might be left in our thrust in improving our business climate, especially the most underserved sector of our society. So, kailangan po nating ma-explica na we're doing this amendments para sa kanila. And I think if we explain this to them in the more positive way, they will be more supportive to these amendments. And as for JHMC, we fully support the amendments that you are going to be proposing, Mr. Chairman, and we believe that it will further boost investments in our economic zones, and our position paper will follow after this meeting. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for giving me this opportunity to express my personal perception. Thank you very much po.
Salamat din po, sir. And rest assured, we will not neglect our domestic domestic industries, and of course si Senate President whispered to me after you made your point that we really need to communicate the benefits because minsan hindi naintindihan dahil malayo sa bituka, as some might say, but actually it's not as far as some might think, no. And in fact, the Senate President has made the incentives law, yung create more law, to amend the create law and make it more attractive for investors, not only foreign investors but even the domestic environment. So nandoon din po sa agenda po ng Senado.
But to the unlearned sectors po, it really needs deep, profound explanation sa kanila na ito pong ginagawa natin ay para sa kanila.
Si Senator Bato mag-house to house ho yan. Dito ipapaliwanag niya.
Pwede so, Mr. Chairman, province by province lang. Wag house to house.
Thank you, Mr.
Please, of course,
Chairman.
Senate President, of course.
No, if we may add, the reason why bumulong ako kay Senator Angara was, di ba recently there was a survey. May survey ang Pulse Asia na 88% ng taong bayan ayaw sa charter change. That's 9 out of 10. Sabi ko, siguro hindi natin napapaliwanag na maayos anong benefits talaga nito. Unang reaction kasi ng taong bayan, ayaw nila ng dayuhan pumasok dito. Pero I'll give an example, sir, Your Honors. Yung Texas Instruments nandito sa Baguio. Imagine kung kung umalis bigla ang Texas Instrument, how many thousands of jobs ang mawawala. So, we need more investments like this. Naiiwanan tayo ng Vietnam at Indonesia. These are the two darlings of the Southeast Asia na yun in terms of investment climate. Dahil napaka-robust at thoughtful, or I'm trying to say the word, yung kanilang incentives package ay napakaganda, no? It's really attractive. At wala pong restriction sa kanilang mga saligang batas na prevents them from bringing these investors with all these incentives. So, yun lang ang nasasayangan po kami. Baka maiwan na naman po tayo ng panahon. At itong mga bansang ito ay makakatanggap na napakaraming foreign direct investments at tayo naiwan at mawawala sa mapa ng foreign direct investments. So, that's why we're here today, to listen, to find a way how we can explain it to the people. Kasi alam ko, initial reaction, wag, di ba? Ayaw nila. Kailangan maganda pong paliwanag po natin. As simple as possible, as basic as possible. At the same time, with the learned institutions on how it will really affect them on the upside, on the benefits that they'll be able to help them. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Well
Chairman,
said,
may I
Senate
just
President.
interject?
Yes, I think you heard Texas Instruments, Congressman Martin.
I just would like to underscore the findings of the Asian Development Bank. In 2022, the Asian Development Bank has noted that the total investment in the whole of ASEAN is $224 billion. Now, if you look at the countries in the ASEAN, the number one is Singapore, and they have a total investment, foreign direct investment of 141 billion out of the 222 billion pesos. Ang Indonesia got $21.97 billion. Vietnam, 17.9 billion. Ang Malaysia is 17.1 billion. Ang Thailand, 9.94 billion. Ang Pilipinas ay 9.2 billion lang. So, nandun tayo sa tail end in terms of the total investment, direct foreign investment to the ASEAN region because of the restrictive policy that we have in our Constitution. Once this is liberalized, meaning giving the Congress or the House of the Senate and the House of Representatives to do something on this particular provision, then we can be assured that we'll have an increase in our direct foreign investment. Plus the fact, of course, yung kumpanya, yung TI, no? When I work for them, ang laki ng investment dito and the contributions of this company Baguio City, when I was there, because the tax paid by the company is based on the total gross income of the company. And 5% of this goes to the national government. Out of the 40% goes to the local government, to the city of Baguio. Magkano yun? Every year, at the time, I don't know now how much, but the total tax paid to the local government is about 200 million pesos. So meron pong impact ito in terms of employment, taxes, and other related multiplier effect to the area, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Amat, of course, Texas Instruments is still among the top 20 semiconductor manufacturers in the world, and that will drive economic development all around the world. Imagine kung makuha lang natin yung iilan pang katulad ng Texas Instruments. Senate President Pro Temp Legarda wishes to add to the discussion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and Mr. Senate President, colleagues. I wanted to clarify that the resolution of both houses, number 6, really focuses only on 3 subject matters so that it's very clear, so that we also know the parameters. And one, the Public Service Act has been enacted into law, so that's been thoroughly discussed, but because of the Supreme Court case, it's not being implemented. So there are still certain sectors which are covered by the 60-40 ownership restriction, despite the enactment of the Public Services Act. And just to name some, the distribution of electricity, transmission of electricity, petroleum and petroleum products, pipeline transmission systems, seaports, public utility vehicles, and water pipeline distribution systems, I believe, are not part of the Public Services Act and are not contained also in the provisions in the Constitution that is included in our resolution. So, ibig sabihin po, yung mga binanggit ko sa aking kaalaman, yun po ang hindi sakop ng Public Services Act, yun po ang hindi magiging sakop ng ating resolusyon. In short, it will remain 60-40 in favor of the Filipinos. Yung mga hindi po binanggit ko, ay yun po ang sakop ng ating luluwagan sa ekonomiya kung maaamendahan ng konstitusyon. But let me just state that if and when there's an approval of the resolution of both houses, it does not already open the economy in certain sectors, because all we're doing is there's a provision that says unless otherwise provided by law, meaning inaatas po sa legislatura, we still have to enact the pieces of legislation that will lead to that 100%, allowing at least 100% ownership sa foreigners, but depends on discussion of both houses of Congress. So it does not automatically, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chair, bring in foreign investors right away, because legislation has to be enacted. And we will see the permutations. Alam naman nyo, pag legislation, maraming consultation na naman yan, kung paano ba ang hindi lang ownership, maaring management, marami operations, marami pa yan. So that's insofar as the Public Services Act. With regards to education at saka advertising, yan ay bubuksan 100%, but the provision again that will be amended in the Constitution will be unless otherwise provided by law. That means we will still have to enact the law that will liberalize or open, if at all, foreign ownership in those 2 other sectors. So, doon po nalilimit, because sometimes we, of course, will tend to talk about other aspects of the Constitution. I heard my good friend, Governor Edube, talking about autonomy. Perhaps others would think about federalism. Others would think about other aspects. This will not touch, at least a Senate version, on any political changes, only economic, and even in economic, only focusing on those 3 aspects. And one was already enacted by both houses of Congress. It just like reaffirms it or pinapatibay po dahil po may kaso sa Korte Suprema. So just clarify what we are discussing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for clarifying what we're doing here and explaining the resolution we filed, Senate President Pro Tem. In addition, yung nabanggit po tama po yung sinabi ni Senator Legarda na those yung mga distribution of electricity, transmission, 60-40 pa rin yun under the Public Service Act, and di namin ginalaw yun. Pero we opened up certain industries like airports, airlines, railways, expressways, telecommunications, domestic shipping, subways, tollways. Kasi nga, I think we could stand some improvements in these sectors. If you look at Heathrow Airport in London, which is one of the biggest airports in the world, it's owned by a Spanish company, or it's managed by a Spanish company. So we can benefit from foreign technology, I think. And kung magaling ang local industries, they may even one day be the competitors of those industries. That's the model of Korea, Japan, Taiwan, among others. No? So, sayang din. Kong Mark and I, we're part of the EDCOM study tour. We went to Georgetown University, and the officials of Georgetown told us that they are opening an office in Jakarta, Indonesia, upon the invitation of the Indonesian government, specifically the Indonesian Minister of Education, who is the founder of Gojek, which is a very successful startup company. No? So, that's also what Singapore did when they invited Harvard, Yale, and other Ivy League and very famous universities to offer joint degrees sa Singapore. So under current constitutional setups or provisions, we cannot do that, unfortunately. No, so that's why, as I said earlier at the start of the hearing, at dito po sa earlier hearings namin, sabi ng mga dalubhasa or the experts told us these specific types of regulation belong in laws. They do not belong in constitutions, because constitutions should be general and should not limit the ability of a country to evolve and to develop with as the environment or the world around it changes. So thank you very much. We'd like to acknowledge Mayor Armando Lauro of Tublay Benguet. Good morning, sir. Would you like to comment, Mayor? You're also the president of the League of LMP, League of Municipalities of the Philippines, for Benguet. Yeah. Mayor Lauro, yes, you have the floor, sir.
Mr. Chair, to the good Senator. Well, on our part of the Limpini, we have some members of the blessed areas led by Mayor Magalong, with our good governor and congressman. Whatever that they had imparted and had inquired, probably we believe that it would boomerang on us in a way if it would be favorable on the economic provisions that you are planning to. And we are very glad because you keep on soliciting ideas from the grassroots, and I think we comment on that. That is from the League of the Municipality of the Philippines, Benguet chapter. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Lara. Salamat po. Then you hear from the DTI, OIC Assistant Regional Director, Attorney Samuel Gallardo. Attorney, morning po.
Good morning, Senator Angara, Senate President Mig Zubiri, Senator Bato de la Rosa, and of course the patron of Cordillera and Weavers and Creative, Senator Legarda. Welcome to Baguio City. The DTI has prepared a position paper on the matter, but allow us please to present our manifestation relative to the constitutional provisions that are subject to an amendment. Apologies, Your Honor. Nagkaroon po tayo ng technical difficulties.
Mr. Chair? Habang hinahanap
Yes,
ngayon
Senator
kanyang-
Bato, of course. Yes, sir.
Kanyang position.
Yes, please.
I just would like to ask, Mr. Chair, in the interest of freedom of expression, I would like to ask from among our regional directors here, if there's anybody among you has a dissenting opinion or contradicting stand to your national office as far as this charter change issue is concerned? Meron ba sa inyo? Can I see some hands? Meron ba sa inyo merong gustong sabihin na baka takot kayo na mamalasin sa inyong mga sekretary o sa inyong mga bossing? Hindi ko kayo pinapahamak, ha? For in the interest of discussion lang, i-discuss na natin baka meron kayong ayaw sa stand ng inyong national office. So okay lang kayo lahat? Okay lang. Okay lang kayo lahat. That's why we are consulting you here. Kaya kami bumaba dahil nabuburyong na kami sa paparinig ng mga sekretary nyo, mga national offices ninyo. Gusto namin bumaba dito sa inyo, sa Cordillera, baka meron kayong ibang opinion as to this as far as this matter is concerned. Kaya tinatanong namin kayo, baka meron kayong iba.
Actually, I want to support Senator De La Rosa. Pati yung dissenting opinion, pakinggan natin. Kung meron, kung may mga NGOs dito na gusto magsalita, it's also good to hear both sides. We're here to listen to both sides. Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned that because Senator Angara and I were whispering here. We understand if it's LGUs, of course, you will most likely agree. But you don't have to agree because we really want to know the truth and the pulse of the people. If you agree, well and good, but if you don't agree, we welcome that and we want to know why. The regional directors, we understand your position. You have to agree with Central Manila, even if deep in your heart, you may not agree. So, for fear of perhaps losing your jobs or because you have to toe the line. So, if there is anyone here, Integrated Bar of the Philippines, academic institution, NGOs, POs, who may not agree, because we authored this, hindi naman perfecto. The process of legislation, it is far from perfect. We may be wrong. We may be including the wrong industries or the wrong sectors. There may be sensitivities in certain regions where it need not be liberalized, the ownership of certain sectors. So, wag po kayong mahiya magsabi ng dissenting opinion. We would want to hear that and be enlightened. Yeah, it's just that. Thank you.
Yes, that's a good point from our colleagues. And very much, actually yung last 5, pwede nyo naman panoorin sa internet yata yon sa YouTube. The last 5, there are some debates where, like the one on higher education, many of the domestic higher education private institutions are against the opening up of the higher education sector, whereas the ones who are open are the public higher education institution. So talagang ganun. There are two sides to every argument. Advertising, there are a few who also against it, but some also say it's irrelevant, Mr. President, kasi sabi nila, there's cross-border exchanges of talent already going on. Yeah, Director, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
I will not be the first to dissent. Rather, we would like to manifest our position on the proposed constitutional amendments of certain economic provisions is consistent with the stand of our DTI Secretary that advocates the need for amendments to the subject economic provisions of the 1987 Constitution. In fact, DTI Secretary Alfredo Pascual has stated officially that the DTI stands with the call to amend the economic provisions of the 1987 Constitution. This is not a call for relinquishing our national interest, but rather a strategy to align with the inevitable global economic currents. It is a call for practicality, openness, and strategic action to empower the Philippine economy to reach its full potential. I believe that our Undersecretary for Competitiveness and Innovation also manifested their support for the amendments to the Constitution. In fact, we are reiterating her statement that says services is key for growth, competitiveness, and jobs. And opening services, FDI can boost productivity across economic sectors and benefit micro, small, and medium enterprises in particular. As for our region, the DTI CAR acknowledges potential industries where foreign direct investments will likely play a crucial role in boosting the region's economy. These industries include the potential for renewable energy in CAR, mining, as well as the other priority industries in the region, such as wearables and homestyle, coffee, cacao, bamboo, among others. The growing creative economy will likewise rise quicker with direct investments in CAR. With all these in mind, we believe that the need to open or to expand our doors to the global market is imperative. Finally, we manifest our support to the comment of Justice Antonio Carpio's recommendation that any legislation that opens up our economy to foreign direct investments should have a stipulation pertaining to reciprocity, as it levels a playing field among sovereign states who should consider each other as co-equals. Thank you, Your Honor.
That's well taken, especially the point of Justice Carpio. See, also, Justice Carpio was also the one who pointed out during our first hearing that passing the amendment with respect to public utilities and public services would moot the case in the Supreme Court regarding the Public Service Act, because it would settle the matter. Now, currently, we're in limbo, Your Honors. So let's hear from Dole CAR OIC Assistant Director, Regional Director Emerito Narad. Morning, sir.
Okay. Mr. Chair, Senator Sani Angara, to our honorable senators, Senate President Migs Zubiri, and of course Senator Loren Legarda and Senator Bato. And to all the political leaders in CAR and the head of different offices. Good morning. So the Department of Labor and Employment firmly supports the adoption of the draft resolution of both Houses Bill number 6, proposing amendments to certain economic provisions of the 1987 Constitution as to aims to achieve economic prosperity, which might result to numbers of employment opportunities among Filipinos. The department had already submitted its comments and recommendation, although we already have submitted it, but please allow me to read the comments and recommendations. 1, while we support the intention of this measure to relax the limitations imposed by the Constitution as to foreign capital investment to strengthen and maintain the pace of our country's economic growth, we suggest to maintain the provision of the Constitution as to equity and foreign participation in public utilities. The Constitution already imposed reasonable limitations as to foreign participation, taking into consideration the Filipino First policy. Thus, there is no need to provide another exemption. It is suggested that we consider the purpose of the framers of the Constitution with regard to the citizenship requirement, which is to prevent foreigners from assuming control of public utilities, which may be inimical to national interest. Second, while providing exemptions to the general rule as to the full ownership of educational institutions may not only help enhance the quality of education in the Philippines, but also open employment opportunities to teaching and non-teaching personnel, which may eventually contribute to the economic development of the country. It is likewise imperative to first solicit insights from the experts, taking into consideration its repercussions and effects to Filipino inventors, learners, and to the socio-cultural development of the country. In providing certain exemptions in this section, there must be assurance that the exemptions will not affect our culture as a nation. Hence, in providing an exemptions as the limitation imposed by the Constitution as to the establishment of schools exclusively for aliens, the state should require such institution to include in the respective curriculum the study of Philippine history and Filipino culture. It must be emphasized that cultural heritage defines our identity as Filipinos. Hence, we must require such institutions to study our culture as well and explore the uniqueness of our customs. And last, the limitation provided by the Constitution with respect to lesser foreign equity in advertising companies is due to the effect of advertising on the mentality of the consumers. Hence, there must be a list of requirements in providing certain exemptions in such a way that it might not affect the mentality of the Filipino people. This is something that we must consider in amending this provision. So that's all po. Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you very much, sir. We'd like to hear now from Basis Conversion Development Authority, or BCDA OIC Corporate Planning Department, Greneza Vale Mendoza.
Good morning, Mr. Chairperson,
Morning.
Honorable Senator Sani Angara, Honorable members of the Senate, Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, Senator Loren Legarda, and Senator Ronald De La Rosa, esteemed colleagues in public service and various sectors. On behalf of the Basis Conversion and Development Authority, we would like to thank the committee for inviting us in this deliberation of resolution of both the Houses, number 6. It is our privilege to participate in this matter of utmost significance to our nation's future, which is the proposed amendments to the 1987 Constitution. Mr. Chairman, I will just read the highlights of the position of the Basis Conversion and Development Authority. BCDA is mandated to accelerate the sound and balanced transformation of former military bases into productive civilian use and to promote the economic and social development of Luzon in particular and the country in general. Our economic growth, amplified by the recent policy reforms such as the amendments to the Public Services Act, Foreign Investment Act, and the Retail Trade Liberalization Act, sets a promising stage. These reforms have begun to dissolve the barriers that once hindered foreign investment and economic expansion, making the Philippines a more attractive landscape for global businesses. Despite these advances, the BCDA recognizes that the existing constitutional constraints on foreign ownership, particularly in public utilities and higher education, which continue to restrict the country's potential. As regards to public utilities, our Constitution limits foreign ownership, affecting sectors critical for economic growth, such as electricity, water, and transportation. This restriction not only limits potential investments, but also the introduction of new technology and expertise that could significantly lower operational costs and improve service delivery across the country. Mr. Chairperson, BCDA support for liberalizing the public utility sector is driven by its vision of enhancing the quality of public services that Filipinos deserve to achieve decent and livable communities. Similarly, in the education sector, although the BCDA was able to attract prestigious international schools in Bonifacio Global City, such as the Manila Japanese School, International School Manila, the British School Manila, Treston International College, among others, we recognize the high tuition fees associated with these institutions that limit access for many Filipinos. By liberalizing the sector, there is potential not only to attract more international schools, but also to encourage the entry of more affordable foreign institutions. This can democratize access to world-class education, making it more accessible to broader segment of the Filipino population. Mr. Chairperson, the BCDA firmly believes that amending these restrictive economic provisions will propel the Philippines into a future of greater prosperity and inclusivity. By welcoming foreign participation, we can stimulate infrastructure development, lower costs in critical services, and elevate educational standards. To quote former Chief Justice Artemio Panganiban, in the case of Tañada versus Angara, The Constitution did not envision a hermit-type isolation of the country from the rest of the world. Thus, we hope that through this constitutional amendment, we are ensuring that the Philippines not only keeps pace with neighboring countries, but becomes a leader in securing economic progress for all. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga po muli sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much. From the BCDA, Ms. Mendoza, salamat po. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of our Senate Committee Chair on Health and Sports, Senator, no less than Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo. Morning, sir. Yeah. Would you like to give any statement before we go to our other resource? Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We'll go to BOI now, Board of Investments. We have Attorney Lester Olimpo with us. Morning,
Yes.
sir. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. For the BOI, we have always been in support of any measures that promote investments, especially when this results to the boost of the economy through industrial development and jobs generation. However, we reiterate in our previous meetings our statement that there should be regulatory framework when it comes to opening up for these sectors for foreign investments in order to afford protection to the Filipino citizens. Thank you.
And thank you very much, sir. We'd like to hear from Beneco. This is the Benguet Electric Cooperative. We have the chairperson, Steve Cutting, with us. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Senators Legarda, De La Rosa, Zubiri, and Go. Good morning also to our government officials headed by Governor De Clas, the mayors of List, and Congressman Mark Go, and to my colleagues in this hearing. We agree with the statements of Senator Legarda regarding the 60-40 split for electrical utilities. Beneco, or Benguet Electric Cooperative, is non-profit anyway, so foreign investment might not be the best option. But we believe the best foreign investment in utilities would be through power generation, particularly through renewable energy projects. For a micro view of what Benguet Electric Cooperative, we have a lot of rivers in Benguet Electric Cooperative, and if you give Beneco $6 billion, we can guarantee that we will build 3 mini hydros within 5 years. That's almost 60 megawatts of power, which will generate over half of our requirements for 1 million consumers, and also reduce the kilowatt per hour by almost 40%. We can guarantee that through renewable energy. The three projects that we have is a 40 megawatt mini hydro in Kabayan, Benguet, a 10 megawatt project in the Felix Mining Corporation, and another 10 megawatts in Asin, the barangay Asin, which is a mothballed mini hydro that was vacated by HEDCOR. So the problem we have with this mini hydro is that we have no government funding. That $6 billion through a bank loan is going to be very expensive. So if we can entice foreign investment to build these mini hydros and assume some of the risk of power generation, then it might be financially feasible. So,
just clarification. What's the total electric requirement of Baguio City? You mentioned 40, then 10, so only 60 megawatts?
the requirements for the entire Benguet, Beneco handles the entire province of Benguet and
Benguet,
Baguio.
ilang megawatts
It's
po?
about 90 megawatts, Senator.
90 megawatts only for the whole Benguet province?
Yes, that's the daily average.
Mm.
So if you give us the 6 billion and we build the 3 mini hydros, well, that's almost 60 megawatts of power that we can generate through renewable energy.
How many megawatts are you short now?
So in terms of, we use 90%, Senator. It's all coal. It's all come from a coal-fired plant in Pangasinan. We have no renewable energy sources right now,
That's so
Senator.
strange.
Yeah.
Benguet source of power is a coal from Pangasinan. When you are gifted with so much waterfalls, rivers, and you're not utilizing it? But you said, you said a 40-10-10. I heard you, the 3 projects you mentioned, they're not supplying Benguet?
They haven't even been built yet, Senator.
I see.
These are projections.
It's a
These are-
hypothetical. You
I see.
prefaced your statement, if I'm not mistaken.
For
Please correct me if
investment.
I'm wrong. If you had this amount,
If
then
you
you
have
could do
this.
this. That's what you said.
I see. For impossible investment, I see.
But Senator, we already have the feasibility studies. We've already determined that they are financially feasible.
Ang layo po ng transmission, galing pang Pangasinan sa lowland, papuntang Benguet. When you have all the sources of renewable in Benguet, and let's just get it clear, you don't have a single megawatt from renewable power in Benguet?
Beneco has a small mini hydro in Bugyas, generating about 3 megawatts of
That's
power.
all?
That's all.
Oh,
Yes, yeah.
you have so much untapped natural renewable resource.
Yes.
It should be embedded so that the source is here, the generation is here, yet transmission will be so short, mas mura, hindi ang layo ng transmission, marumi pa. Hindi ba?
Renewable energy can be 40% cheaper per
Of course.
kilowatt hour, Senator.
Yeah. And
So-
because yung transmission, ang lapit, nandito na. Yeah. I didn't realize that. It would be good, I know, I don't want to go off tangent, but since we mentioned Benguet, if we could have a mapping of Cordillera and where the source of renewable, whether hydro and other sources are, and first where you're getting it and how far the transmission is, and if the possible sources within your provinces and your jurisdiction to cut the long transmission. Yeah. And that would also answer for the brownouts, right? Intermittency of electric. At the same time, it will cut more than maybe 50% the cost of power, right? Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
Senator. In fact,
Yes.
I can speak for the entire Cordilleras to state that renewable energy is one of the most, or through mini hydros, is one of the most promising power generation projects. The entire Cordilleras.
Bakit po walang nagtatayo?
Yes.
Yes.
Since we are talking of the renewable energy, actually in Kalinga we have the highest because we are 22 pesos per kilowatt hour. Ay 200
22 pesos.
yes. No, 22 pesos per kilowatt hour because our source is also from Pangasinan. And in Baguio, I think in here is 850 only.
It's 10 pesos, Governor.
10 pesos.
10 pesos.
Okay. So that's the cost of electricity, and we are so rich in, we have 7 big rivers in the province. It's a tributary to the Chico River, and we cannot develop those because we lack investors.
Just to note, no, when I read earlier in the Public Services Act, which is part of the RBH 6, I read the sectors that were not included. Now I will read the sectors that are included. I'll repeat. Yeah, okay, sorry, Chair read it. Kasama po dito sa 100% yung power generation, airports, railways, expressways, and telecommunications. Yes, I'm repeating, clarifying what the Chair has mentioned. So earlier I mentioned those not included. Now these are the sectors included. Yeah, thank you.
I think, 22 pesos is ridiculous. Talagang pag 22 pesos, actually even above 15 pesos, mabigat na sa investors. Manufacturers mag-back out. Talaga it will discourage people investing. May bagong survey na lumabas, top 2 problems that hinder investments in the country is ease of doing business and power generation, napakataas. Pag naayos nga natin itong dalawa, parang icing on the cake na lang itong opening up of our restrictive provisions of the Constitution. Icing on the cake na yan. But going back to the number 1, it's also ease of doing business. I think, and I'd like to answer the questions of Senator Legarda, the difficulty of putting up power plants kasi in areas, I'm also a power producer. I mean, that's in my sala, and I'm a businessman, so I'm also involved in renewable energy. Meron po kami solar sa Bukidnon, tsaka hydro. Alam mo, pag set up, dito marami kayong potential na hydropower. I think the problem is on the ease of doing business, particularly sa NCIP. So matagal yung sa NCIP. And so, kung maayos po ninyo yan dito, I mean, sa amin, what we did is, we involved the NCIP, we involved the IPs, the communities, aside from the 1 centavo per kilowatt hour for the communities, for the LGUs, ginawa namin, personally sa kumpanya namin, bibigyan po namin ng 1 centavo per kilowatt hour for the IP community para maengganyo sila na tumulong. Kaya napabilis yung free, informed, and prior consent, FPIC process. I would suggest to the electric cooperative and the telcos, the electric companies here and cooperatives, work with the IPs to speed up the process na meron din silang share for their community development. Kasi kung hindi mangyayari yan, talagang mahaharang yan, tatagal yan. And because of that, napakasayang because you know, just like Bukidnon, we're the source of water for Mindanao. The second highest mountain in the Philippines is Mount Kitanglad. Dati nagkakakompete yan, Mount Pulag, Mount Kitanglad. It's already official. Mount Kitanglad is the second highest. Mount Pulag is the third highest. But just like the Cordilleras and just like Bukidnon, the source of water is with us when it rains. You can dam that. We can dam that and come up with either small water impounding, medium water impounding, or even runoff river. Pero yun nga, you have to work out the issue on the ease of doing business, yung bottlenecks there. Pag nagawa nyo na yan dito sa Cordilleras, you'll be a powerhouse of generation of renewable energy. Maayos nyo po yan. With respect to the NCIP, ayaw po natin awayin NCIP, hindi ko po awayin yung IPs dahil mahal po natin sila. I come from a province that 40% of our population are indigenous peoples. So, ang ginawa namin, we did a novel way. Instead of awayin namin sila, we worked with them. At parang meron silang, sa amin dun, meron silang parang 4-piece din from the energy production that is generated. So, maybe we can work that out here also. Tulungan po namin kayo sa model na yan, Gov, at sa ating electric cooperatives. Thank you po.
If I can add, Senator, we already have initial IP clearance for those 3 mini hydros, which is why we are so intent, or we have all of the serious intent to try and get that funding, because we've already cleared some of those hurdles.
What you need is funding.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
Are you finished, Chairman? Chairman?
This
You're
is
done? You're
related
done?
to, yeah.
You're finished with your...
I'd like to add something after Congressman
sige,
Go.
sige.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, the situation of Bineco is not that they are allowed to generate power. Their main function is more of distribution. But what he's saying is if there will be foreign investors that will invest in these areas, probably that will make
yung potential
yes,
projects that can
exactly.
be built.
So,
Yes.
thank you for
Yeah.
that support.
That's a good point from...
Mr. Chairman, if you can indulge me, my community relations department is waving to me
Yes.
to remind me that we have to thank Congressman Mark Go and Congressman Eric Yap of Benguet for sponsoring the House renewal side for our franchise. Bineco is getting our franchise being renewed in 2028, and we are appealing to the Senate to please support the renewal.
We just passed 3. We just passed 3 last Monday na cooperatives.
Yes, sir.
So,
I think.
support kami.
Thank you very much,
I'm sure
Congressman
it's-
Go.
I'm sure it's just a matter of time, Chairman
President,
Steve,
Mr.
for
Chair,
that to pass.
The
Yeah.
bill is already submitted to the Committee on Rules in the House,
Okay.
and it will be read probably.
I see. It hasn't passed the
next
floor
week.
yet. Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Ano kasi, just to remind everyone, on local bills kasi, it has to pass the House of Representatives first. Pag naipasa na po yan, Chairman, sa House of Representatives at ipasa sa amin, parang ministerial na lang po sa amin yan, especially for local bills. So Congressman, as long as it's approved with you guys in the House, wala na problema sa amin yan.
Well, that's an assurance from our highest officer. So talagang gagalaw ho yan. And I just want to point out, si Senate President Zubiri is also one of the original authors of the Renewable Energy Law with my father. Yeah. So thank you. We'd like to now hear from Baguio Water District Chairman and University of Cordilleras College of Law, the Dean Attorney Renato Rondes. Morning, Dean.
Good morning. Senate President Zubiri, Chair Senator Angara, President Pro Tem Senator Legarda, Senator De La Rosa, and Senator Bongo, our beloved Mayor Benji Magalaw, and our Congressman Mark Go, and the rest of the heads of the local government units in the province of Benguet, my fellow resource persons, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. In behalf of the Baguio Water District and the University of the Cordilleras, we would like to express agreement with the reasons behind the need for charter change. We do recognize that we would be much better off with foreign investments and competitiveness. As pointed out earlier, we are lagging behind in Asia. We would like, of course, to remedy that. Our main concern, though, is with the manner by which we are trying to amend the Constitution. Any first-year law student is taught and explained to him is the principle of, or the doctrine of constitutional supremacy. And the situation would be that all laws should be subservient to the Constitution. And we are worried with the phrase, unless otherwise provided by law, with all due respect, because it may lead to a situation where no law may now be declared unconstitutional because of the phrase, unless otherwise provided by law. Although, again, I would like to give credit where credit is due. The amendments to the Public Service Act were really long in coming. I do hope that it will hurdle the test of constitutionality. And with that being said, we submit that we should take a look at the way we are intending to amend the Constitution. I do believe there's a better way. I just can't figure it out right now. But maybe I will leave the discussion with a suggestion that maybe we should just be specific as to what we want to amend exactly in the Constitution. And maybe if the people will see that it's really very specific, then they can better understand the situation. Thank you for the opportunity and good morning.
Salamat po, Dean. Can we now go to Cordillera State Institute of Technical Education, Interim Executive Director Daisy Bugalyon.
Hello. Naimbag nga agsapa tayo amin. As in, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat, lalo na nasa kagalang-galang na senators, Senator Loren Legarda, Senator Sani Angara, Senate President Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, Senator Bato de la Rosa, and Senator Bongo. So this representation supports the amendments of the particular sections in the Constitution, but I had just have my few detailed positions, especially on the word basic, because it connotes, for clarification po, because it connotes elementary and secondary education. We might consider the word all levels of education. And number two, Foreign Religious Group and Mission Board is welcome in the country, but it must be participated also by Filipino citizens, not 100% managed by these religious group and mission boards, to maybe avoid exploitation from our fellow citizens using the groups and boards in the guise of religious and mission purposes. And number three, the Congress must define the percentage of equity participation of Filipinos in all educational institutions. And number four, with TESDAS benchmarking and foreign international universities such as community colleges in the US and some universities in Australia and Singapore. Maybe the Congress might consider the provision for the promotion of global education for higher technical education and higher education institutions through immersion, exchange international students and trainers, and consideration and maybe some amendments in our apprenticeship law. And fifth is the foreign investments are welcome, subject of course the regular foreign investment negative list. Yan lang po. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director Bugalyon. Can we hear from Pangasinan State University Binmalay Campus Executive Director, Dr. Marie Claire Briones? She's here with also Director Samson and Public Administration Chair De Asis. Or you're free to speak. But first, kay Dr. Briones.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning po.
To our Honorable Senator Lauren Legarda, Senator Sonny Angara, Senator Juan Mig Zubiri, Senator Ronald Bato, Senator Bongo, and to all government officials, the LGUs, and of course the private sectors who are present this morning. Maabigya kabosan sikatayon amin na imbag nga bigat. Good morning to all. So here is our position for this amendment of the Senate resolution of both houses number 6. May I present to you, of course, the positive implications and negatives so that we could have, of course, our recommendations on what we were going to do to make this amendment possible. First, of course, on the Article 12, the national economy and patrimony. So the positive impact that we are seeing on this is there will be an increased foreign investment that can outgrow economic growth, create jobs, and improve technological transfer. Foreign capital can drive infrastructure development and improve the competitiveness of various industries. But we have to consider, to balance, of course, the impact of this, we have to consider the unrestricted foreign ownership could lead to economic domination by foreign entities, potentially undermining national sovereignty and control over critical sectors. There are also concerns about the equitable distribution of benefits and the protection of local industries. On the Article 14, which of course, on the education, science and technology, arts, culture, and sports. So we have our, the impact that we are considering on this is this could improve the quality of education through increased investment, introduce global best practices, and enhance international collaboration and exchange program, which is of course the mandate of the Commission on Higher Education, is of course for us to implement internationalization. And we have to consider the negative impact of this is how we will going to avoid the risk of commercializing education, potentially leading to inequalities in access and prioritizing profit over educational outcomes. Cultural values and national identity might be influenced by foreign entities. Under Article 16, this is a positive impact. It could opening these sections to foreign investment could enhance competition, improve service quality, and bring in advanced technologies. And for the negative impact that we will going to consider is it could compromise the integrity of information dissemination, affect national security, and lead to foreign influence over public opinion and cultural content. With this, we have our recommendations on the balanced approach to foreign investment. While attracting foreign investment is crucial to economic development, it is important to maintain a balance that protects national interests. Consider partial liberalization with stringent regulatory frameworks to prevent economic overdependence on foreign entities. Second, strengthening local industries. Implement policies that support local industries to to ensure they can compete effectively with foreign counterparts. This includes providing subsidies, improving access to financing, and fostering innovation. Third is safeguards and regulation, which is, of course, majority of us is looking into it. We have to establish clear and robust safeguards to prevent exploitation and ensure that foreign investment contribute positively to the economy. This includes setting limits of foreign ownership in critical sectors and ensuring compliance with environmental and labor standards. Fourth, the public consultation and transparency. Engage in extensive public consultation to gather diverse perspectives and ensure transparency in the amendment process. This will help build public trust and ensure that the amendments reflect the collective will of the people. And lastly, of course, the gradual implementation. Consider a phased approach to implementing these changes to allow for adjustments and to monitor the impact carefully. This will help mitigate potential negative consequences and ensure that the transition is smooth. This will be now our conclusion. The proposed amendments to the economic provisions of the Philippine Constitution represent a significant shift in policy that could have far-reaching impacts on the nation's economy and sovereignty. While the potential benefits of increased foreign investment are considerable, it is essential to approach these changes with caution and foresight. By adopting a balanced and a strategic approach, we can harness the benefits of foreign investment while safeguarding our national interests and promoting sustainable and inclusive economic growth. So with this, I hope that we will be more optimistic, seeing opportunity in every hardship, rather seeing hardship in every opportunity. Thank you, and God bless everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Briones. You've given it some thought, so thank you very much for that. How about Executive Director Samson and Public Ad Chair De Asis? Anything to add?
Yes, sir. To our esteemed senators, Senator Lauren Legarda, Senator Sonny Angara, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Senator Miguel Zubiri, Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo, other dignitaries, other stakeholders, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. And thank you for my dear committee to allow us to present and consider and be able to review and stand our perspective on the said resolution. This is our stand. All Filipinos had long desired for change po. The social and economic situation of the most Filipinos has long lagged behind the country's potential for real and equitable progress. And Pangasinan State University, Bayambang Campus, is one of the educational institutions that aims for innovations. We, as one family, hereby submits our position on the proposed amendments to certain provisions of the 1987 Philippine Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines, specifically on Article 12, Section 11, Article 14, Section 4, Paragraph 2, Article 16, Section 11, Paragraph 2. So the proposed amendments centered on the praise unless otherwise provided by law, which is very broad in meaning. Such praise is full of deception unless the laws be passed will benefit most of the Filipinos, not only few individuals. Laws that are not biased, laws meant to protect the people from the absolute foreign control. And even if the sections be not amended, the Senate had done its job of enacting various laws, helping all the marginalized sectors of the country. In the field of education where we belong, there is already a law on free tertiary education giving access to every child to finish college education and consequently be employed. However, we strongly oppose if the laws to be passed by both chambers will give 100% ownership of all businesses in the country to any foreign entity, whether be on industries, health, and other field of endeavors, much more the educational institution where we belong. Opening Philippine schools to 100% foreign ownership does not and will not resolve the current education crisis, which is caused by decades of insufficient public funding for education, in spite of the fact that the General Appropriations Act allocates the biggest budget for education. Low salaries for teachers, perennial backlogs in instructional materials and facilities such as classrooms, libraries, barangay reading centers, very low internet connection, and etc. Opening schools to 100% foreign will only worsen the commercialization of the educational system, as foreign corporations are known to be profit-oriented in nature and will not care whatsoever the country's achievement for quality education and development, such as those happening in other countries like in India and mostly in African countries. Foreign corporations will not only invest to improve the quality of education, but rather only to earn quick bucks of our educational system's detriment. In fact, typical prospectuses of foreign entities clearly states that the profit in their main goal. And opening schools to 100% foreign ownership is tantamount to treason, as it means surrendering our education system to foreigners who do not know anything about the history of our educational system as well as the root causes of our education crisis, and whose only agenda is to squeeze profits out of Filipino families' pockets. Opening the education system to 100% foreign ownership may also force some small and medium-sized private schools to shut down, which can consequently cause labor layoffs and displacement of students, specifically in areas that are underserved by public schools. There is a need to enhance genuine global competitiveness, where students are able to learn what typical students in other countries learn, and does not require 100% foreign ownership, but rather good management and optimal use of our own resources to continuously improve our education system, partly benchmarking with global standards, and at the same time ensuring that the education system is responsive to the community's needs and primarily meant to serve the national development rather than foreign corporations looking for profit and needs for migrant workers. The present educational institution can still engage in internalization without 100% foreign ownership of schools by engaging in mutually beneficial academic linkages and through studying abroad to focus on best practices which can be adopted if applicable to the Philippine situation. The framers of the 1987 Constitution were right to nurture the Filipinization of the country's education system and to set clear limits on foreign ownership of schools in the country. Commissioner Chito Gascon, a member of the framer of the 1987 Constitution, noted that the basic principle that we would like to assure is that educational institutions play a role of instilling values and consequently the molding of public opinion. And as such, the meaning of educational institutions being wholly owned by Filipinos is that in the rearing of Filipino citizens, Filipino values are encouraged. Who else can best teach the Filipino values by Filipino teachers? Within this context, foreign ownership of the Philippine schools means allowing foreigners to impose their own values and way of thinking on our citizens. Moreover, allowing for foreign ownership of Philippine schools may also mean entry of foreign teachers in the Philippine education system. This may displace the many Filipino teachers in the different schools and may also result to underemployment, if not underemployment, or our many teachers education graduates. Rather than use public funds for pointless and non-exhaustive public hearings, Congress should utilize public funds for urgent steps needed to improve the quality of education, such as providing more classrooms to eliminate crowded classrooms, increasing the salary of teachers, reducing class sizes, provision of teaching paraphernalia, supplying textbooks per subject per student, etc. What then will be the use of notable laws that were passed by the House of Senate if education will be absolutely controlled by foreign investors? Yes, foreign ownership will help improve visible infrastructure developments in the school, but these are less significant compared to the kind of students the schools will produce, productive in their communities and high moral values and full of loving and patriotic Filipinos ready to serve their country. Furthermore, we also stand united against similar moves to do away with foreign ownership limitation in various sectors of the economy, such as public utilities, for this will lead to massive loss of jobs since foreign ownership will lead to selective employment of its employees. We also warn against the possibility of dynasty-backed political chacha that could remove term limits, destroy or weaken the existing checks and balances, and consequently wipe out the Senate in favor of rubber stamp dynasty-led unicameral parliament, or even delete the constitutional one or political dynasties. We urge the House of Senate to exercise caution and listen to the various stakeholders' input on chacha rather than allow themselves to become instruments of the most powerful dynasties and foreign big business giants. Maraming salamat po, and I hope that you consider this po.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But I'll repeat what I said earlier. This is not the only layer of regulation. So everything you said, that there is subordinate legislation that can be passed with respect to that. Yes. Can we now hear from St. Louis University Office for Legal Affairs, Director Attorney Johan Macob?
Thank you, Your Honor. Senator Angara, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Go, Senator Ligarda, and Senate President Zubiri, and to all stakeholders present here today, good morning. Our University President, Reverend Father Gilbert B. Sales, the ICM, wishes to send his regards to everyone. Further, SLU expresses its gratitude to the Senate for this privilege to give our comments and insights. Your Honors, we wish to note that we already submitted our letter reply dated March 4, 2024 to the request for comments to resolution of both Houses number 6, specifically the provision on educational institutions, Article 6, Section 4, Paragraph 2. As an educational institution pursuing Missio et Excellentia, academic excellence coupled with missionary spirit, St. Louis University has a resolute commitment towards impactful quality education. SLU has always highlighted and promoted the development of a robust educational system that meets international standards. Nonetheless, as a Congregatio Immaculati Cordis Mariae, or CICM institution, direction in ensuring equitable access to quality education. We are likewise bracing good and even great competitiveness and even collaborations with both Filipino and foreign educational institutions and see the same as opportunity for further growth, learning, and excellence. In my capacity as legal educator, may I also add that the proposal shall, however, be balanced with commitments to non-degradation of constitutional supremacy, as mentioned a while ago by Attorney Rondez, of the doctrines of separation of powers and checks and balances, as well as legal stability vis-a-vis the required dynamism. Your Honors, SLU expresses its optimism towards a genuine, inclusive, and faithful development. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Can we hear from University of Northern Philippines Director Carlo Ventura? Morning, sir. Well, good afternoon, actually. It's past 12.
To our esteemed senators, Senator Loren, Senator Sani Angara, Senator Migsubiri, Senator Bato de la Rosa, Senator Bongo, and to all stakeholders present today, good noon po sa ating lahat. Thank you for inviting our university for this public hearing regarding on resolution of both houses number 6. Mr. Chair, my apologies because I cannot give any comments regarding on this resolution But rest assured, we will submit our position letter na lang po. Thank you po.
Thank you, sir. Can we hear from Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University, La Union, Legal Officer Attorney Alan Pahimola? Is Attorney Pahimola here? Wala. Okay. We'll hear from Bangi Institute of Technology Vocational School Administrator Carlos Carizal.
Thank you po.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po, Senator. Senator Legarda, Senator Angara, Senate President Zubiri, sir, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, sir, and Senator Bongo. Actually, Bangi Institute of Technology is one of the institutions, and we have already our representative, our CAR Regional Director, Attorney Balmerson Valdez, have given his position a while ago, but I have to add only on the internationalization of Tibet as one of the components in our program. So with the open provision on education, then I hope that TESDA is to be given the benefits for this provision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Can we now hear from TESDA Regional Training Center, La Union, Chief Specialist Artemio Pulido? Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And my respect to the honorable senators, Senator Ma'am Legarda, Senator Master Zubiri, Senator Bato, and Senator Bongo. I believe the public hearing is indeed inclusive in nature because we would like to thank the subcommittee for inviting the Regional Training Center as one of the resource speakers. And we would like to give the perspective from a direct implementer of technical vocational education and training to the grassroots. Having said that, we consider ourselves as part of the grassroots. And we will give the perspective along this line. And in my more than 3 decades of experience in technical vocational education and training, we believe that the amendment on Section 14 on education, science, technology, arts, culture, and sports has been long overdue. For the reason that, as far as TESDA is concerned, specifically our training centers, we always see to it that our graduates always have the most advanced technology, like in aircraft technician and all other areas. And in order for us to do that, we are sending our trainers and even students in international training centers to get the expertise. Para pagbalik po nila, they will be able to share what they have gained in these international training institutions. However, ang napapadala po lang namin sa mga area na yan ay very limited. Very limited po. So, if the amendment on Section 14 will pursue, and these international training institutions will be allowed to set up centers here in our country, mag-open po yan ng mas maraming opportunity, not only for trainers, but for our local skilled workers to be trained on the latest technology. Kasi we've been sending trainers, including in Singapore, Institute of Technical Education in Singapore, in Korea, University of Technology in Australia, for them to be able to have the latest technology, especially related po yan sa IR 4.0. So we welcome...
Related saan po? Sorry, hindi namin.
International, IR 4.0 po. The Industrial Revolution 4.0. So, sa Pilipinas po kasi, IR 4.0 is hindi po masyado itong implemented. Kaya at the scale of 1 to 10, parang nandun pa lang po tayo sa 3 or 4. But what is needed in the international labor market is higher than that. So we need to train and expose our skilled workers on a higher level. In order to do that, we need to send our trainers abroad para po doon kumuha ng expertise and experience along that line. So makapagturo po sila sa mga workers natin locally so that our skilled workers will be highly competitive on the international labor market. So we welcome po yung amendment specifically on Article 14. On the other component po na RBH 6, we leave that to the experts and the experience of the sectors involved in that particular area. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat po, sir.
Yes.
Senate President? Yeah.
Yes, I'd just like to make a short comment lang. Malaking bagay yung TESDA. Pag na-amend natin yung Constitution na may foreign investments na freely flowing into the Philippines, lalo sa manufacturing, the TESDA has to step up their game because we need more skilled workers. I'll give an example. The President just recently signed a deal with Hyundai Heavy Industries and Cerberus, which is a shipbuilding facility in Subic. Kailangan daw nila ng 1,000 skilled workers na welders, TESDA certified. So parang nahirapan pang TESDA mag-commit dito sa deal. So we need to step up their game. You need to step up your game because once this opens, more investments to come to the Philippines, lalo na sa manufacturing, kayo ang magiging leader nitong explosion na ito. So when we talk about training new skills to our Filipino workers. So at least you'll be informed. And I'm glad that you are supportive so that at least TESDA can take it a step higher.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Tama po yung sinabi nyo, Senate President, and tama rin yung sinabi ni TESDA, Mr. Pulido, about 4.0. DTI has some initiatives there, pero yun nga, naiiwan ho tayo dahil minsan lack of capital, lack of technical expertise, as mentioned by our Senate President. So I believe the legal officer of Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University, La Union, is here, Attorney Pahimola. Yes, Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Sani Angara, Senate President Senator Juan Mig Zubiri, Senator Loren Legarda, Senator Bato de la Rosa, and Senator Bongo, fellow resource persons of both private and government sector who are the change agents of this society. Isang mapagpalang tanghali po sa ating lahat. Our University President, Dr. Jaime Ipac Manuel Jr. is very grateful for the opportunity given to share our insights and inputs on the resolution of both houses of Congress proposing for the amendments of specific articles of the 1987 Constitution. And with the permission of our chair, may I be allowed to read a portion of the position paper that we
Yes, please,
prepared?
sir. Yes, please, go ahead.
So our almost 40 years old Philippine Constitution has been a very challenging basic legal framework of the state, noting that since its passage, no administration has ever successfully sought for its reform and eventual amendment. The changing milieus in the recent decades brought about by socio-economic transformation, globalization, integration, and the VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, has propelled everyone to be future-proof ready and to be abreast with the changing times. Thus, in order to liberalize our economy, which has been very dynamic and volatile due to emerging economies of nearby Asian countries and in the world, our Constitution has to be responsive and adaptive to allow foreign entities with certain reasonable restrictions and limitations in putting up and operate their business to operate in the country. The move to amend the constitutional provisions on public services, education, and advertising industry by way of adding the phrase "unless otherwise provided by law" is to make our economic constitutional provisions flexible, agile, responsive, and adaptive. Thus, it is our belief that such legislative action, if the amendment will push through, is within the reasonable realm of the Congress to enact statutes that will activate and define ownership, operation, management, and structure of these economic entities. The Congress, as a constitutionally created institution, is mandated to proactively legislate pro-Filipino, timely and relevant legislative pieces that all redound for the general welfare. Since DIMSU is representing the academic and or education sector, we would like to comment on the education aspect. And our university is fully in support of the move to amend, provided the following conditionalities must be addressed. First, ensure that there would be a strict regulatory body and procedures for the accreditation, recognition of foreign universities who would like to branch out in the country. This includes quality assurance, compatibility, harmonization, and integration with the existing CHED's policies, standards, and guidelines of the different academic programs from curriculum, administration, library, instruction, research, extension to school resources. In addition, only those higher education institutions which are known to be of high quality and with known reputation should be given preference to branch out in our country. The state should also rigorously safeguard the quality of education from the malpractice of diploma mill or offering higher education programs which do not conform to quality standards. The oversight function of CHED should be intensified, and these schools should also undergo periodic quality assessment. Second point, Filipino values and culture, nationalism, the Philippine history, and constitution should still be a mandatory topics, subjects, and or elective subjects in the curriculum. In order to ensure that Filipino values are still be emphasized and continue to live on despite of the growing challenge of globalization and internationalization, foreign universities should offer subjects to their students, whether foreigners or Filipinos, in relation to Philippine history, culture, and values so that their ideologies in nationalism and patriotism should continue to flourish. Our Filipino identity should not be displaced or replaced, but rather it has to be explained, elaborated, and cultivated through continuing teaching and learning in these prospective foreign HEIs. Third point, preferential employment of Filipino talents, or there must be at least 50% of the workforce who are Filipinos. To benefit our homegrown Filipino talents, in allowing foreign universities to establish in the country, there must be allotted number of Filipino teaching and non-teaching personnel who shall be working the school operations. The preferential engagement of our fellow Filipinos will somehow give them gainful employment and increase their income capacity. Fourth point, prospective Filipino graduates of these foreign higher education institutions should have access to foreign investors' job placement networks. With the entrance of foreign universities, we expect for an improved employment prospects for students who would have access to the employment opportunities in the base country of these foreign HEIs. Since Filipinos are global workers who are mostly seeking greener pasture abroad, this move to open up our country to foreign HEIs will pave the way for bigger employment opportunities overseas. Fifth point, since most of the HEIs in the country today are advancing for internationalization of academic programs, this proposal for amendment would be an opportune time to expand their teacher and student exchange programs, collaborations in research and extension, as well as sharing of best practices in the achievement of quality higher education. This proposal would now address the Philippines' HEI's aim to be globally competitive in all the functions or aspects of the university. This will foster global citizenship, boost academic standards, and prepare learners to flourish in a diverse and networked world. The ASEAN region's use of English as lingua franca potentially places the Philippines HEIs favorably within the ASEAN region. The ASEAN Economic Community will have a high demand for highly skilled workers or highly skilled mobility across the region and further increased demand for higher education. In addition, internationalization of HEIs will help students develop the global critical thinking skills that are essential to continuing or contributing as citizens of the world and competing in the international marketplace. And lastly, finally, while we aim for expanding our HEI networks with the foreign countries, the government should seriously address the declining quality of education as evidenced by the latest performance of the country in the Program for International Student Assessment, or the PISA. While the expansion of networks of schools in the country is a potential solution to beef up the skills of our students and increase avenue for employment opportunities, it cannot be denied that there are gaps in both basic and higher education levels. In conclusion, as we thrive as one global community, our beloved Philippines should not isolate itself with the rest of the world. If there is a resiliency in this ever-changing climate, resiliency should also be the buzzword in embracing the ever-changing economic dynamism. To do this, we need policies that will sustainably and sparingly face the challenges of the economic life of this country. The amendment of the Constitution to sanction our legislators in charting the economic direction is a cunning way to adopt liberalized policies and measures not only for the sake of this current generation, but even to the succeeding generations to come. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair, I just would like to manifest my appreciation to the very nationalistic and patriotic stand of Attorney Pahimula of Don Mariano Marcos as far as the education provision of our Constitution is concerned. Thank you very much for that
Yes,
very good stand.
I share your observations, Senator Bato, and talagang pinag-isipan ho ni attorney, and he understands the role of the Constitution and the role of subordinate legislation. It's not for the Constitution to answer, hindi niya isosolve lahat ng problema ng mundo, di ba? That's for subordinate legislation. At thank you for your very good and positive suggestions. Please continue if you have any other suggestions.
No more, Your Honor. Thank you very much for the compliment. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat sa inyo. Is there anyone else among our colleagues, Mr. President, who wishes to speak, and maybe if nakapag first round na ho ba lahat ng resource persons, we want to make sure everyone around the table has been given a chance to speak. If yes, we'll go to a second round and ask our colleagues if they wish to say anything. Senator Bongo, yes, sir.
Just a few statement lang po. Ito, Mr. Chair, maraming salamat. Senate President Mig Zubiri, distinguished colleagues and everyone in attendance. Magandang araw po sa inyo lahat. Just want to put forth my position on this important matter. Mr. Chair, para sa akin po, at katulad ng dati ko nang sinasabi, my previous stand dito sa amending the Constitution is highly intricate process po ito which needs to be conducted thoroughly and done with the utmost caution. Ang aking posisyon po dito ay hindi nagbago. Dapat po ang sambayan ng Pilipino po ang makikinabang dito, yung mga mahihirap nating kababayan. Bilang mga lingkod bayan, anumang gagawin natin ay dapat nakaayon sa kagustuhan ng sambayan ng Pilipino. Gaya ng pagpasa natin ng bawat panukala, sa alang-alang po natin dapat ang kabutihan at kapakanan ng mga bawat mamamayan, lalong-lalo na po yung mga mahirap nating kababayan. At sa pagdinig naman po, isa lang po ang gusto kong maging produkto. At ang sabi ko kanina, makinabang po dito ang mamamayang Pilipino. Hindi po kaming mga politiko. I laud this subcommittee headed by Senator Sani Angara for taking the lead and hearing different views and positions of our countrymen We commend that this body is starting to conduct consultations all around the country. Next week po sa Cebu at sa Cagayan naman para mapakinggan rin po yung mga kababayan natin sa Visayas at sa Mindanao. Kaya nga meron tayong mga committee hearings tulad nito because we need to listen to the different views and expert opinions ng ating legal luminaries at ang ating mga ekonomista. We must follow the right process. Pakinggan po natin ang lahat. Kung economic provisions po ang pag-uusapan, pabor po akong silipin ito dahil mahigit 36 years na po ang ating constitution, maaring iba na po ang ating sitwasyon ngayon, pero wag po nating madaliin. Pag-aralan po natin ng mabuti, katulad ng pagsasagawa ng hearing na ito, paglaanan po natin ng higit pa sa sapat na panahon. Ang tanong ko, gaano ba kalaki ang impact ng isinusulong na pagbabago at ilang Pilipino ang makikinabang dito? Meron pong pag-aaral ang Philippine Institute of Development Studies saying na what is required in the Philippines to bring in foreign investment is not only lifting whatever restrictions there are, but in good governance po and eradicating corruption. Let us always prioritize the welfare of the Filipino people over personal or political interest. Let us work together to uphold the principles of our Constitution and protect the integrity of our democratic institutions. Babantayan po natin ng mabuti kung ano man pong posibleng pagbabago sa ating saligang batas. Proteksyonan natin ang Senado bilang isa sa haligi ng ating demokrasya. Sa ganitong paraan, masisiguro natin na ang bawat hakbang na gagawin ay para sa ikaunlad ng bansa. Sa usapin po ng manner of voting, I believe that it is crucial for us to ensure that we vote separately on the proposed amendments. Salamat Mr. Chair at salamat kay Senate President Mig Zubiri, Senate President Pro Temp si Senator Loren Legarda, Senator Bato, at sa lahat ng resource person sa pagdinig. Napaka-importante po ng inyong kontribusyon sa pagdinig na ito. Maraming salamat po. Magandang hapon, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Well said, Senator Bongo. Thank you for the kind words. And tama po kayo, hindi dapat minamadali ito dahil mabigat na mabigat. It's a very serious undertaking. So thank you for that. At natutuwa kami na nandito kayo dahil you are the voice of Mindanao alongside Senator Bato, Senate President Zubiri. At napakaganda nung sinabi niyo, baka ang nag-draft niyan si Philip Salvador. Yes. I think Senator Legarda wants to say something.
Thank you. Para din po meron tayong background tungkol sa ibang mga bansa sa ASEAN. If I may just put into the record kung ano yung kanilang policies na pinapayagan at hindi. Let's say, marami akong listahan dito, but let's say Singapore. Yan. In Singapore, foreign investors are permitted to own and operate 100% of an educational institution subject to certain restrictions. So, pinapayagan nila pero meron silang mga polisiya na may restrictions. Like, enrollment of local students in international schools remains generally prohibited unless approved by the Ministry of Education on a case-to-case basis. And then there's an imposition of minimum paid-up capital of 100,000 Singapore dollars and a credit rating of at least band 3. And the course fee paid by students are with fee protection schemes and collection caps. And there are others. So let's say Malaysia, it allows up to 100% foreign capital investment in the education sector, again, subject to conditions. Approval from the higher education, registration with board of directors to be determined by the ministry, approval of the course study, local and foreign teaching staff have a permit to teach issued by Registrar General, establishment of private higher education institution, which had been subject to moratorium during the movement control order implemented to end. Anyway, these are details. Indonesia, open to foreign institutions to take part in the education sector. The participation cannot be made by way of foreign direct investment, but through a cooperation with a local education institution that employs Indonesian lecturers and managers. Foreign education institutions may cooperate in early childhood education, basic education, mid-level, as well as tertiary education. So, Thailand, all foreigners are restricted from engaging in the education sector unless they have obtained clearance from the Ministry of Commerce, etc., and they have to get certificates. So I cited, and I wanted Mr. Chair to put on record how other ASEAN nations, because as explained by the Chair, and I will reiterate, all we're changing is we are adding a phrase, unless otherwise provided by law. And these laws will become the policies that will change the status quo now, insofar as education only and advertising only. Because as I said, the Public Sector, Public Service Act is already enacted. And the reaffirmation of that enactment of the law will be the inclusion of the public services that we mentioned earlier. So I wanted to put on record the education sector policies in the ASEAN countries so that we have an idea later on if at all this passes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. That's very enlightening, Senator Legarda. And it just shows, reinforces what we've been saying all along, that the Constitution is just a framework and that there are many ways to skin a cat, so to speak, meaning there are many subtleties, nuances that enabling or subordinate legislation can take care of. But those are not the debates for today. The debates for today is the larger question of whether we are going to allow the possibility of foreign ownership in certain sectors of our economy. So is there anything else, Kong Mark, Mayor Benji, would you like to say anything before we wrap up? It's been a very productive session, I believe.
Thank you.
A great variety of views. Mayor Benji, yes, please.
Thank you very much, Senator Sonny. Just a question. Can I just raise a question? One of the main issues that we're going to face here is basically, or concern, especially by the local industry, is competitiveness. Yeah. So I'm sure can you brief us on some measures that would protect our local industries from being overwhelmed by foreign competition?
That's for the laws to determine. But sa akin, I think we have the Tatak Pinoy Law, which requires the government, at least in its purchases, to prioritize domestic producers. Even if there is a margin given to domestic producers, kahit mas mahal ng 15% yung ginagawa ng local, yun pa rin dapat ang binibili ng gobyerno. Because the government is already a huge purchaser with a 5 trillion budget, national budget, notwithstanding the city budgets, which have also grown over the years. So yun po, when it comes to the government's participation, although we are allowing, on the one hand, we are allowing foreigners to enter different parts of our economy, at the same time, with the other hand, we are helping. Yun ang, I think, medyo nakakaligtaan minsan natin because we think that free trade will solve all of our problems. It shows that, maganda yung question ni Mayor Benji Magalong, kasi the moment you enter into, you allow entry to foreigners, the competition will increase dramatically and we have to be prepared. So maganda po yung tanong ninyo. That's one. Secondly, I think our DTI is also helping our medium and small enterprises. But again, we can use our incentive laws, our investment laws. We heard from BCDA, John Hay. In our hearings, we also heard from BOI, PEZA, Clark, and we have a letter from CEZA. So yun, we can put in some of the measures mentioned by our friend from DIMSU in La Union na you must employ locals. So that's a counterpart, meaning the schools, hindi automatic na lahat ng schools pwedeng pumasok because we can pass legislation that says you must be of a certain standard. I forgot which country in Southeast Asia. Kailangan top 20 yung university bago nila tanggapin sa pagpasok. So again, we sometimes we look at it from the lens na we fear the worst. But actually, we control it. We control our own destiny. That's the bottom line here. nasa kamay natin. So, but your question is very, very important because if we're not ready, maaring matalo tayo sa mga mas magaling at mas handa sa atin. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Congressman Mark?
Yeah, well, just another interjection on this. No, the laws that we have right now will still apply to these foreign companies that will put up their operation in the Philippines. In terms of employment, meron tayong batas dyan, and this is provided for under the Labor Code, and they should comply. In terms of education, the same thing. We don't just allow them to put up a school here without following the requirements as provided for under our CHED law. No? So we don't need to worry as to whether they will eat up itong local industries even when they have operations here, because the same, we are just trying to lay the groundwork, and at the same time probably it's also high time that once these are here, we will do something to even improve our current or our Filipino business groups here in the country. Kailangan yan mag-upgrade din tayo. And it can be a challenge because if we don't, because of competition, and in terms of competition, nandun naman yung Philippine Competition Commission that can, probably handle this kind of problem should there be a situation where they will have monopoly or even putting together 2 or 3 businesses into one. So yun ang ko lang comment doon. Thank you.
That's a very good point. You're 100% correct, Congressman Go. Yeah. Anything else from our resource persons? If not, I think it's been a productive session, and we thank you very much for taking time out to join us. And alam mo, Baguio is very dear to me because my wife is an adopted from Baguio. Alam ni Kong Mark yan. He's a friend of my late mother-in-law who used to write a column sa Midland Courier. And my wife used to study in the old UP Baguio. I don't think it's around anymore, no. So, but we thank you. And of course, who doesn't love visiting the beautiful city of Baguio? So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Congressman. And to our mayors, nagbiyahe pa kayo. To our agency directors, maraming salamat po for your insights and your presence. Nagpapasalamat po kami sa iyo. So we'd like to, with that, if there are no other, would you like to want to say anything? Thank you. Thank you very much to Senate President Legarda and to Senator Go for
Thank you,
for
Mr.
joining us.
Chair. Thank you once again to our local government officials who went all the way, aside from, of course, our mayor, but coming from Kalinga and other parts of Benguet. So salamat. And the agencies of government, and especially as well the state universities and colleges. At kung meron po kayong mga policy, in case there are more views that you want us that hindi nyo nasabi, that you weren't able to share, feel free to send it to the committee, to our respective offices. You know our contacts, our emails, and we don't limit it for those who are here. Those we failed to invite because of a limit in the space, NGOs, POs, lawyers groups, indigenous peoples, yes, regular citizens, your student. We'd like to hear the youth, no, in all our SUCs, because we want to hear their anxieties, their fears. We want to hear questions na hindi kailangan sang-ayon lahat. Gusto namin hindi sang-ayon para yun ang totoo, yun ang magiging basis sa mga batas na gagawin eventually. So thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and my colleagues, and to all those who made an effort to come here today for a brief but enlightening discussion. Thank you.